Texas has long held a mythical place in the American imagination, a land of wide horizons, abundant opportunity, and the promise that with enough grit, anyone can build something lasting. Over the past decade, that myth has drawn millions. From California, refugees fleeing high taxes to retirees chasing affordable acreage, the Lone Star State became the destination of choice. Real estate signs sprouted faster than bluebonnets in spring, and entire communities seemed to appear overnight on land that had been ranch land just a season before. But not every corner of Texas lives up to the brochure. Beneath the booming headlines and the gleaming master plan subdivisions lies a more complicated truth. Some areas of the state carry burdens that no amount of square footage or low listing price can offset. They carry climate risk that insurance companies are quietly walking away from. They carry economic histories built on a single industry that giveth and taketh away. They carry environmental scars left by decades of industrial activity, foundation problems baked into the very soil, and infrastructure that simply cannot keep up with the people pouring in. Today, we are going to walk through 6 areas in Texas that prospective buyers should think very carefully about before signing on the dotted line. These are not warnings against the state itself. Texas is too vast, too varied, and too full of genuine promise to paint with a single brush. But these particular places tell a story, and that story deserves to be heard before the keys ever change hands. Before we go further, if you find yourself curious about the hidden costs that shape American real estate, the kind of details that rarely make it into a listing, consider subscribing. We are working through a much bigger picture this season, and you will not want to miss what comes next. Our first stop is the Texas coastline, specifically Galveston Island and the Bolivar Peninsula. There is nothing quite like waking up to the sound of the surf, and these stretches of sand have lured dreamers for more than a century. But the Gulf has a long memory. In 1900, Galveston was hit by what remains the deadliest natural disaster in American history, a hurricane that killed an estimated 8,000 people. The city rebuilt, raised itself behind a seawall, and pressed on. Yet the storms keep coming. Hurricane Ike wiped much of Bolivar Peninsula off the map. Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Laura, and Hurricane Beryl have battered the region in just the past few years. Today, homeowners along this coast face windstorm insurance premiums that have tripled in some areas, and many private insurers have pulled out entirely. What looks like an affordable beach cottage on the listing site can become a financial sinkhole the moment the next named storm enters the Gulf. Just inland, the second area worth pausing on is the patchwork of flood-prone neighborhoods inside Houston. Places like Meyerland, parts of Kingwood, and the bayou-adjacent corridors on the west side have flooded not once, not twice, but 3 or 4 times in the past decade. Houston was built on flat coastal prairie that drains slowly, and decades of paving over wetlands has only made the problem worse. After Hurricane Harvey, entire neighborhoods watched their homes take on water that had never come close before. Some streets have been rebuilt and reflooded multiple times. Federal flood maps have struggled to keep pace, meaning a property labeled outside the flood zone today may not be tomorrow. Buyers shopping in these zip codes need to look beyond the disclosure form and study the actual elevation, the bayou behind the property, and the history of repetitive loss claims on the address itself. Our third area takes us west, deep into the Permian Basin, to towns like Midland and Odessa. These are not bad places. They are, in many ways, the heart of American energy production, but they live and die by the price of oil. When crude is high, housing prices spike, rents become unaffordable, and a modest 3-bedroom can list for prices that would make a Dallas suburb blush. When crude crashes, those same homes can lose half their value in a single year, and entire neighborhoods empty out as workers move on to the next field. The boom and the bust cycle is not a historical footnote here. It is the underlying rhythm of life. Beyond the economics, the region also faces water scarcity, frequent earthquakes linked to wastewater injection, and air quality issues tied to flaring. Buying property in the Permian is essentially a leveraged bet on a single commodity. The fourth area sits along the upper Texas coast in the petrochemical corridor anchored by Port Arthur and Beaumont. Drive through these cities and you will see flares burning in the distance, refineries stretching for miles, and neighborhoods within walking distance of some of the largest industrial facilities in North America. The economic legacy of this region is real, but so is the environmental one. Studies have repeatedly documented elevated rates of respiratory illness and certain cancers in communities adjacent to the plants. Add in the same hurricane exposure that haunts the rest of the coast, and the math gets difficult. Property values here have remained suppressed for a reason, and any buyer should think hard about what they are inheriting along with the deed. Our fifth area takes us south into the Rio Grande Valley to older unincorporated developments known as colonias. These communities, scattered across Hidalgo County, Cameron County, and Starr County, were often sold decades ago without proper infrastructure. Some still lack reliable potable water, paved roads, or functioning sewer systems. The valley as a whole faces a deepening water crisis, with reservoirs along the Rio Grande dropping to historic lows, and treaty disputes with Mexico complicating supply. Property here can look like an incredible bargain on paper, but buyers may discover they have purchased land that cannot be easily built upon, financed through traditional lenders, or insured against the increasingly volatile climate. Our sixth and final area might surprise you. It is the outer exurban ring of Austin, especially the rapidly built subdivisions stretching toward Bastrop, Hayes, and Caldwell counties. During the pandemic boom, developers raced to convert ranch land into rooftops, and buyers rushed to lock in what felt like the future of Texas. But the math has shifted. Many of these communities depend on shared groundwater wells, drawing from the increasingly stressed Trinity and Edwards aquifers. Wildfire risk in the surrounding hill country has driven insurance carriers to non-renew policies, and the sheer pace of construction has left some neighborhoods with foundation problems, drainage failures, and homeowners associations struggling to keep up. Many buyers who purchased at the peak are now sitting on properties worth significantly less in areas where the basic question of long-term water supply remains unresolved. None of this means Texas is a state to avoid. It remains one of the most dynamic places in the country, full of opportunity for those who do their homework. But homework is the operative word. The seductive listing photo, the quick handshake, the fear of missing out, these are the conditions under which costly mistakes are made. Climate, industry, infrastructure, and geology all leave fingerprints on a property, and those fingerprints rarely show up in a glossy brochure. The land remembers what the marketing forgets. The buyer who listens carefully will always come out ahead of the one who only looks. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, consider subscribing so you do not miss future videos.